The story of the temple unfolds. These guests have no idea. Not only is the temple more expanded than ever, it has also grown in size. And you will see in this video how exactly we've made that. In this video, we also build the coaster layout and expand the temple further. So welcome to Temple Dash Episode 2. Beautiful drums, I have to say myself. Anyway, this is where we left off from Episode 1. And in this episode, we're going to continue building on the Temple Dash swinging mine train coaster. So, let's get to it. Wasn't happy with the track again, so I remade it. There we go, that's much better. Now the first thing that I'm doing here is bringing in a little bridge where the coaster car goes underneath. Wasn't quite sure what pieces to use, but these long pieces that I used for the roof of the station actually worked quite well. I didn't want it to go just underneath the coast and you got all those like bits of wood and stuff, so it would be cool if it got held up by something. So I decided to use the blocks and the long pieces to make a little bridge here. It's not really a bridge, it's more of a archway. And then I decided to build a little wall around the first section. There we go. It's looking really nice, so let's continue to the next thing. I figured that there needs to be some kind of pillar or something in the middle. And I thought I could use this piece, which is the one I used in the wall. If you look to the sides, you can see there's this particular pillar, but then fully enlarged. But it didn't really work because of the patterns, and I want the patterns to be visible on all sides. So I decided to go with this typical column that I use for the roof. But if you make it so much bigger, you increase its size, it really looks like a big pillar, which is exactly what I was trying to go for. And here I am making some beams, which I want to make from the side of the wall to the pillar to hold it up. I thought it looks cool if you come around the corner in the coaster, you duck below all these beams. Unfortunately, I couldn't build any more beams because the coaster, you would chop your head off if you were gonna go there. So I decided to put the last two beams on the ground, just like that it looks a little bit more abandoned. And here I'm trying to find the moss decal, which if you color them really blends in nicely with the pillar, the colors. That makes the pillar look even more abandoned. Especially if you put them to the sides here, like you can see. The rescaling tool of these moss particles are also amazing. It makes it look so much more realistic, like there has been some dirt on it or something like that. I'm very happy with it. Then it was time to go and install some floor section. I'm using the marble stone floor pieces from the mythology theme pack, which go really well with the wall sections that I've just installed. I think it blends in really well, particularly if you find a similar color than the one that I have. So if you use the dirt decals and you increase the size of it, it makes it look like dirt patches on the floor. So again, here you can also use the dirt decals to make sure that you don't have those straight corners from the floor section. So I just put them on the ground, and I add a little bit of scenery. Just some random pieces that I could find that I just put on the ground, and some ropes as well. It's starting to come together really well. And these ship pieces that you see me placing here work really well as like waste wood, scrap wood. I'm not really sure what the term for it is, but wood that has been sitting there for a while. And these pieces are pretty big, so they fill an area quite fast. And these wooden pieces as well. I'm gonna put a couple more boxes down, and then we call it a day. Plenty of rubble and rubbish to lay around to make it look abandoned. I'm very happy with the way this turns out. Then I found this log piece and I thought it would be really cool to have it laying here in the water. Add some more dirt decals, followed by a couple of bushes, and Bob's your uncle. That is by far the most satisfying thing I have ever done. I then started working on the animatronic in the archway leading up to the top of the chain lift. I had this idea of having this kind of golem or something like that coming out of the arch. First I had Medusa there. Look at these googly eyes. First I had Medusa there, but then I decided Medusa has nothing to do with Temple Dash. So I thought I wanted something more generic. So I decided to go with these golem guys. And the idea was for this golem head to come at you and then have the two golems popping out from behind on different angles. But it was really hard to program this using the new animation pieces that you see there. Those blue ones. They are quite alright to work with, but the settings are not ideal. They go either really fast or really slow. It would be really handy to just have them themed myself, but we had to do with what we have. And I make the golem just a little bit bigger so that they can hide behind it just a little better. Now once that's done, I figured that only rotating the golems will just keep them on the spot. So I had to have a tool like this animatronic piece that I'm using now to bring the golem out and to the side. So if you attach this piece to the rotating piece, you can bring it out and also rotate at the same time if you program these properly. So the idea was to attach the golem to it so that it could pop out from behind the main golem and also rotate on an angle. It was, however, really hard to program this, and I really hope in the future that Planet Coaster or Frontier will allow us for a little bit more flexibility when it comes to these things. They're quite hard to work with. Now the end result looks something like this. Quite happy the way it looks, but I ended up changing some of the angles. I thought it would be a cool idea to have it pop out of a door, so here you see me installing a door. If you want to see the end results of this animatronic, gonna have to stick around. At the end of this video I'll show you exactly what it looks like. Here you see me theming and adding a couple of bushes, just so that it blends in with the overall theme of this chain lift. It's starting to look really cool in my opinion. Adding some more rocks. And a cog in the middle of the chain lift, because I thought it would be really cool to have something rotating there so that it looks like it's bringing the cars up the chain lift. So I'm theming this later on as well. And I also thought it would be really cool to have some kind of cog or a gear rotating at the middle of the chain lift, that light that you can see there. But I thought it was really tricky to attach pieces to it and have them completely centered. It took me about half an hour to find out that you can actually click it into position, and you see me doing that here. Ta-da! Completely in the center. If only I knew this half an hour ago, it wouldn't have been so painful. But the end result is worth it. I also applied some magic to the cars. I was really happy with the way that looks. On the rear side you can see the little cogs that unfortunately do not rotate, but I thought it looks makes the cars look so much better than the original swinging mine train. Then it was time to work a little bit on the top of the temple where the animatronic is hiding in. So I'm grabbing these arches and extending them a little bit so it covers the top of the temple from front to back. And then I try to install a beam in the middle so it doesn't look like an open arch. But I couldn't really find the right piece, so I ended up going with little blocks like you see here. And after that, I filled in the rest of the holes with some more blocks. Here's a quick build. Very nice. Now it was time to work on the coaster. I had no idea what I was doing, but it turns out really cool. I didn't really know at the start what to do with the top of the temple, so I thought I'd just bring it up a little bit more to get a little bit more speed and then make it go to the left. And I had this idea of having the first drop coming close to the station on the side. There's a little middle section between the coaster station and the back of the temple, which you'll see in a bit. I'll bring it down right there and then make it drop towards the station. And here we go, finally bringing the coaster down after all this climbing. So here is the left-hander drop that you see me building now, which I wanted to make close to the station and then pop straight into the temple again to the right. And then I wanted it to come back to the right, and then it was time to build this special feature of this coaster. I know it's not a realistic thing, and I know swinging mine train coasters are not supposed to do this, but I really wanted to have this feature in my coaster. You'll see in a minute what I'm talking about. By the way, the smoothing tool of Planet Coaster 2 is really something amazing. I am really enjoying using this, and the new coaster builder is really good. It is super easy for people that don't really know how to make good flowing coasters, like myself. Make really good flowing coasters and have a smooth ride, which is really helpful. And here you see me building the special feature I was just talking about. A looping. I know it's not realistic. I'm not really a realistic builder. I'm more of a fantasy builder myself. I don't consider myself to be a huge realism fan, so but that's quite alright. Everyone has their own specialty, I guess. This is mine, building non-realistic coasters. So yeah, the looping is looking really cool. You can see it straight from the arch there in the station. If you look through it, you can see the loop, which is really cool. It really creates a good scene. The unique thing about the way that I build is I build scenery as well as coaster at the same time. And this allows me to adjust my scenery and my coaster as I go, instead of having to adjust my scenery besides the coaster. So this way you can create some really cool vistas. For instance, this looping there, I wouldn't have placed it there if you couldn't really see it from anywhere else. And because I already had built a station with that archway in there, I thought this would be a good location to build the looping. If I would have already made the coaster and not the station, I wouldn't have been able to do this because it would have probably not lined up. And this way it works out really well. These mega temple blocks are actually really handy to give me a rough guide of how I want to make this temple. So it's been really helpful. At this point, however, I had no idea what I was going to make the temple look like. So I'm just like I said before, putting these bricks in just to give me a rough guide. I can then theme around it later. Here we're going to the last section of the coaster. We've got a little bit of a wobble, and then we're going to make a right-hander. Pretty much a infinity kind of layout, where it goes left, curls to the right, and then curls to the left again, and then it goes over the track back to the station. If you were to ask me how do I come up with these designs, I wouldn't be able to answer you. These designs just pop in my head and I'll see what works, see what flows well. I don't really have an idea before I start building a coaster what I want the layout to be like, because it really depends on the theme I'm going for, and it also depends on the theming that I'm building. So now it is time to do a little bit more theming. Now we have a rough idea of what the coaster is going to be like. It allows me to put down some more blocks and give the temple a rough shape. It also allows me to slightly change the angles of the coaster like you see me doing here. I can extend some corners, make them go higher or lower depending on where I place the blocks. This way I'm not having to work with any awkward angles. This is also one of the beneficial things about theming and building coaster layouts at the same time. Cheers, matey. Here I'm applying some more big blocks and realized that I couldn't make the coaster go up there if I had blocks in this place, but it would make the theming of the temple so much easier if I have these blocks in place. So again, because I had themed and built the coaster at the same time, I could adjust the coaster to the scenery, and that way it would work perfectly and it doesn't have any wonky edges or something. Super handy. I'd recommend making something like this, theming and building at the same time. It is just such an underrated thing in my opinion. I don't see a lot of creators do it, but it allows for more creative freedom in my opinion. After having placed down some more blocks, this is what we ended up with. These quick recordings where I pretty much just show what we've just made, they've been really satisfying to watch and to make, to be really honest. I hope you guys like them as much as I do. Please let me know down below if you enjoy it as much. If not, I can leave them out in the next time. But if you do, I'll leave them in because I love them. They're also a good summary section to show what we just made. So here's another one. So now we're working at the back of the temple, as you can see. And to be really honest, I had no idea what I was actually going to make here. So I'm building a lot of stuff that I ended up deleting later on. You'll see me do that in the later section of this video. But just to get a rough idea for the shape of the temple that I was going for, you see me just placing down these blocks. Making sure that they're not all on the same line so it doesn't look repetitive. Which is very important, otherwise it just gets boring. So this is what we just made after placing some blocks. Very nice. Now we're going to start building the loop. We're building bricks surrounding it. I wanted the loop to be surrounded by bricks, which I can then later on decorate. And this really is slightly inspired by my Planet Coaster 1 creation called Angkor Wat, where I had dueling Wild Mouse coasters, and then they are also not supposed to go loop-de-loop, and they're surrounded by these big blocks as well. I thought it looked really cool with the gaps in between, but then later on I decided I wasn't quite sure if I wanted to have it this way. So I ended up closing the gaps because I wasn't happy with the way it looked. I really had no idea what I was actually going to make here at the top of the chain lift. So I decided to put it in a floor just to create some kind of basic structure from which I can then build. But I had honestly no clue. So I just put it here. This is what it looks like. And then I had a light bulb moment, and this changed the way that my temple was going to look completely. I thought, how the hell are people going to get up this temple without stairs? On the other side we've got the chain lift, so I needed more stairs. I then started installing a second set of stairs and deleting some of the stuff that I've previously put down to make a little bit of a walking platform. This makes the temple looks a little bit more realistic as well and functional. I always like when something has functions. If you see in my older creations as well, whenever I build something it feels like humans could actually walk there or cross the road. If you see in my Middle Earth park, I've made lots of little bridges to get to places, even though they're not accessible, but it makes buildings look more realistic. Even though I'm not really a realistic builder, it really makes the buildings make more sense. And it gives you an idea on how to theme certain things. For instance, I wanted the staircase to lead to the top of the temple, so I knew I needed another set of staircase. Look how this has changed the way that the temple looks. It's looking just so much better. Instead of having no idea where I was going with this, now I actually had an idea what I wanted to build. It just makes it look so much better having these stairs in, and more functional as well. Now it's just a matter of trying to find out what to do with the coaster there and how to make everything blend in and feel incorporated. Now, I understand that you might think, oh, it looks really bland and empty. That is correct. I have not added any dirt decals, for instance, or the greenery stuff that makes the temple look overgrown. The moment I do that, it will make the temple blend in with the chain lift so much better and make the temple look like it's being used as well. I'm just adding in a couple of trims here. On the sides of the stairs, so the stairs look a little bit more fancy. Because of all of this, I now also have a much better idea what I wanted to do with the coaster. I wanted to bring it to the side and make it right along the edge so that you've got a little bit of a view approaching the second chain lift. And although the second chain lift isn't very big, I still think it would be really cool to have it go along the edges outside instead of going straight through the middle. It was, however, quite tricky to get this corner straight and look alright. But obviously we can still adjust it later on if we feel like it's not working out well. But I like the idea so far. Doesn't this just look so much better than what we had before? Look at it. It's quite nice. Now this is where I started doing some bathing. This is on the right side of the coaster station, but oh, I did struggle so much with this bathing tool. It just made generally no sense to me when things would connect and not. I'm making a little bit of a plaza in the center of the temple because I thought it would be cool to have some kind of food court there or something like that. I could even consider maybe placing down a flat ride, but I've not really made up my mind what I'm going to do here now. The first thing is finishing the coaster and having a think about if I want to do a flat ride there and if it will even fit. and then we'll just go from there. But I will definitely experiment with placing down a flat ride, because I think it would look really cool. Maybe I could even consider a big centerpiece in the middle of the temple that you can see from the top where the coaster is, as well as from the bottom where the people walk. I placed down a couple more rocks and some more temples, and I slightly erased the pathing on the outside here. It looks something like this now. Alright everyone, this is what we have so far. We spent the whole episode building this place together, and bit by bit you're starting to see that the temple is taking shape. Obviously there's still lots of stuff to build. This whole area needs to be built, and the inside of the temple needs to be themed, as well as the back side of the temple. We need to do a lot more decoration here. Some interactive things, trees, foliage, some more details, and making sure everything comes well together so that it kind of blends in with the front of the ride, which looks like this now, which is very happy with the way it turned out. And yeah, we can just follow with this car along and look at all the details and talk about it if you want. But this section here is from my first coaster that I made in Planet Coaster 1, dueling coaster called H2O vs Fire. That's what inspired me to make this, which has a similar kind of twist with these beams and stuff, also an abandoned ruin. If we go under here, we get to see the animatronic that I spent a little bit more time on and making and fine-tuned it a little bit. So I replaced the Medusa animatronic and I turned it into some kind of spiritual golem with two little golems coming out from the side. So I used 4 moving cinematic pieces, animation pieces, and then programmed them all together, and then you get something like this. It still looks really cool. So the door will open. Also you see the spinning wheel here, which looks like it's just pulling up the chain. I just realized I don't think I have put the sequencer up properly. So the sequencer is right here. Let's just trigger it. And so play. And see what it looks like. We get something like this. So the spirit kind of comes out, and then there's 2 tiny little spirits that pop out on either side of the spirit. Let's see that one more time. It was pretty tricky to make, I have to say, but for a first attempt I don't think it's too bad. You see the spirit comes out, and then you see this left spirit and the right spirit golems. They just pop out from behind and then do a little wave. And then they go back inside. Yeah, it was very hard to program, I have to say, but I'm quite happy with the results, and I might change it, I might not, might just leave it the way it is. So on this section I'm planning on making a big centerpiece here, and if you look down you can see there's some pathing here. I'm thinking maybe either I can build a flat ride here that comes up, or I'm going to build some food stands in the middle of the temple. I've not quite made up my mind, to be honest, but either way it's going to be something really cool on the inside here, a big centerpiece or something like that. And then we've got these stairs coming up to the temple now with lots of cool rocks. There will be trees, and we're all incorporated using dirt decals so that it looks abandoned. Also on this side, this looping looks really cool with the rocks, and we obviously themed this so that it looks nice and incorporated and not out of place. That's not the last thing I want. Also, if you look through here, through the entrance, you can see the loop, which is really cool. But people seem to be enjoying it. You've got all these people lining up. Yeah, they're queuing up. They're enjoying the ride, I guess. Also, I heard there's a bug with the waiting time, so people are not wanting to join the queue because they think the waiting times are too long, even though there's no waiting time whatsoever. So hopefully Frontier fixes this bug as well. Now on this section, I'm thinking I might just make some kind of wild jungle with lots of bits and pieces of broken down temple. And then also on this side, some bits and pieces, broken down temple, maybe like a little statue here, or another temple on this side. Not quite made up my mind yet, but I reckon we'll pop into the POV and give it a ride and see what it's all about. Do keep in mind that there is still a bug where the camera is attached to the side of the ride and not to the bucket of the coaster, so we will be on a funny angle all along this starting area. But I will release this coaster anyway, and hopefully they'll fix it by the time it's on the workshop. So I filed a bug report, and more people seems to have this issue, so hopefully it gets fixed. So without further ado, here is the POV of Temple Dash. Right, obviously there's still a lot of adjusting to do, and it looks like it doesn't have as much speed as I want it to be, particularly in this loop. But it looks so much better when you observe it. It looks like it has so much more speed than when you're on the ride. It seems rather slow. But maybe that's just, I don't know, maybe it's me. I wish I had a little bit more speed, but I can't increase the chain lift, unfortunately, but I can increase the chain lift speed. But this looks really cool, I reckon. Definitely could use a little bit more smoothing, which we will do in the next episode. Additionally, we will also finish the ride, add all the details, and show you the final product in the next episode. So if you want to see all that, make sure to stick around and subscribe to my channel for some more epic builds. There's a lot more stuff coming up in the near future in Planet Coaster 2. So if you want to see what I'll be making, please stick around. Consider subscribing. I hope you all have a bloody good day. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.